Coming up next is Dr. Kimberly Taylor. Here's your chance to talk about what matters to you. Although you will receive helpful advice from Dr. Taylor, remember, this is not to be construed as a form of psychotherapy, diagnosis, or treatment, and cannot replace a therapeutic relationship with a mental health professional. You can reach Dr. Taylor by calling 564-1290 or toll free at 866-564-1290. You can also listen live on the internet at drkimtaylorshow.com. So here now is Dr. Kimberly Taylor.
Hi, I'm Dr. Kim, and I'm glad to be with you again today. It's Thursday afternoon, and that means it's your time of the week to share what's on your mind. What have you been dealing with this week? Do you have something that's been on your mind that you want to talk about? I'm here, your friendly psychologist, as I will be every Thursday afternoon to talk with you. So give me a call at 564-1290 or toll free at 866-564-1290. Today I want to start off by talking about relationships. What is a healthy relationship? And what constitutes an unhealthy relationship? We will all have various types of relationships throughout our lives. Whether they are friendships, romances, work-related, school-related, or family-related. And while these relationships can be full of fun, excitement, and romance, they can also involve sadness, disappointment, and heartache. The truth is, while they can be one of the best and happiest parts of our life, they can also be one of the most challenging parts of our life. But let's start with the purpose of relationships. I think that Neil Donald Walsh stated it best when he said, "Most people enter into relationships with an eye toward what they can get out of them, rather than what they can put into them." He said the real purpose of a relationship is to decide what part of yourself you'd like to see show up, not what part of another person you can capture and hold. So the purpose of a relationship is not to have another who might complete you, but to have another with whom you might share your completeness. Relationships are there for us to learn to show up as our highest self. So think about the qualities that you value in a relationship, and let's see if they match up with the ingredients of a healthy relationship. First and foremost, a healthy relationship needs to be based on a foundation of mutual respect. Any relationship that is not respectful cannot be based on an understanding that goes very deep. Healthy relationships are about building each other up, not putting each other down. It is about allowing each person the freedom to grow and evolve, and this means allowing for change and flexibility. Good communication is also a key to a healthy relationship. While it is easy to assume the other person knows what you want and need, in a healthy relationship, each person expresses their needs and takes responsibility to let their partner know about changes. If we are to agree that we are ever changing, then we must be willing to talk about this with our partner. Next, we need to respect the differences. In a healthy relationship, each person respects the other's right to have different thoughts, different feelings, opinions, different friends, and different activities. It is unrealistic to expect that they will be just like you or want or need the same things. So each couple must decide what is acceptable within their relationship. Also, you want to be able to resolve disagreements with fairness. Healthy people fight. They really do, but they fight fair. You have to be willing to negotiate and compromise. Argue your points on things that you do disagree about, but the goal is to work together to find a resolution and to treat each other in a way that says, I care about you and I want to work this out. One person isn't trying to get their way all the time. And then trust. People in a healthy relationship mutually trust each other and know that their partner will consider their feelings. There is a shared honesty and openness that feels mutual, and you know your partner is not intentionally trying to hurt you. So now, what constitutes an unhealthy relationship? Well, that's any relationship. And again, any relationship in which you do not feel good about yourself and you do not feel you have an equal say. A relationship is unhealthy when it involves any disrespectful, controlling, angry, blaming, or abusive behaviors. If the other person is trying to make you feel bad about yourself, if they're constantly putting you down, or they're trying to isolate you from other family and friends, if they try to harm you verbally, physically, or sexually, then it's time to get help and to get out. Oftentimes, people make excuses for all kinds of bad behavior, or they actually misinterpret jealousy or possessiveness and even violence as signs of love. But a relationship is unhealthy if you're being manipulated to do things you do not want to do, if you are afraid of your partner's anger or temper, if you feel like you have to walk on eggshells around them, if your partner is trying to control different aspects of your life, if you or your partner are engaged in addictions, or if you do not feel respected to be able to grow and change. So this is the topic for the day. If you're having problems in your relationship, or you have a question about what is going on and you really need a place to talk, then give me a call. We're here to open up the dialogue and to really share what is happening out there so that together we can build better and stronger relationships with the people that we care about. Relationships are a minefield. There's no doubt about it. And it's not easy to keep one going and to keep it healthy. Feelings, hurts, resentments, fear, shame, they all keep us from reaching out and finding better answers for the problems and the situations that we find ourselves in. So if you have a relationship question today, get on the phone. I want to talk to you. I'm here to help. Give me a call at 564-1290 or toll free at 866-564-1290. So stay with me during the break, and I will be right back to take your calls. I'm Kimberly Taylor, and you're listening to KZSB AM 1290.
You are listening to Dr. Kimberly Taylor. You can reach her by calling 564-1290 or toll free at 866-564-1290.
So welcome back. I'm here with Sandy, my screener and good friend here. How are you doing, Sandy?
Oh, yes. We're talking about healthy and unhealthy relationships, and you want to know how I'm doing. I'm pretty convinced here now that maybe I need to divorce my husband.
Really?
Just kidding. I'm just kidding. Oh, boy. I love this topic. I think this is a great topic to be talking about here at the beginning of the year. And I don't know, I got some questions that were coming up for me as you were talking about that. You up for some questions?
Sure.
Okay, good. I was afraid you might say no.
Well,
and then we'd be in an unhealthy relationship. For some people, that grow up, let's say people that grow up in difficult family homes, if there's a lot of yelling in the house, or nobody's allowed really to have a voice, or somebody's angry and can be very abusive emotionally or physically, how do people that grow up in that kind of an environment, how do they learn what is okay, what a healthy relationship looks like?
Well, actually, I think that's a really good question, because when people grow up around this kind of acting out behavior where there is any kind of abuse or yelling or screaming, what they do is that they start to think that that is normal, that that's the way that people do relate to others. And so they really have to be able to learn as they are growing up that just because you have lived with this, that kind of disrespectful behavior is not normal, and it's not the way that you are supposed to treat others. So that they still can learn new ways to talk to each other, to relate to each other, to share their feelings, to even have conflict, but not to be able to do it in a way that is always hurting someone else or doing it at the expense of someone else.
I would think that would be a lot easier said than done. It would probably require, I would think, some help.
Sometimes it does. Or else sometimes they do meet someone who has grown up in a more peaceful environment, that there isn't that kind of disrespect. And so they learn through that partner that it's not okay if you treat me that way. It's not okay if you talk to me that way. So it doesn't mean that they have to seek psychological help sometimes. Sometimes it's just by learning how to relate to another human being in a way that is mutually respectful.
What would you suggest we could do to encourage people who find themselves or questioning whether or not they're in a dysfunctional or an unhealthy relationship? How could we encourage them to reach out and get some help?
Well, I think that education is key. We have to keep telling people what is a healthy relationship and what is not. And that then we help to encourage people to stand up and set clear boundaries for themselves. And that if they need help, if they're having trouble, to seek out help. It isn't a bad thing to seek out help when you've run out of the answers for yourself. I think for all of us just to know that we are always at a place that we can get help from others and that we don't have to be stuck there and to do it all on our own.
We've kind of more from an unhealthy relationship to even talking about abusive relationships, which is also unhealthy, obviously.
Yeah.
For some that are in that abusive relationship, I know that there is a pattern, like a cycle of abuse that continues in these kinds of relationships, and it's to maintain power and control. Mm-hmm. Maybe you could talk a little bit about what that cycle of abuse looks like.
Well, people do get caught up in this cycle that they call the cycle of violence, where their frustrations really get pent up, and then they vent or they explode, and then they go back to kind of a calm state of being until the next wave where they go back through this cycle. So it is just a way to explain that sometimes people think that if the abuse has stopped and they're calm, that things are going to be fine again. But they won't. You do need to get help to kind of find your way out and learn how to deal with your feelings of anger and frustration. So this is just a cycle that will continue to repeat itself unless there's a way to get it to stop.
It would be great if we could spend some time in future shows to focus more on domestic violence and teen dating violence, and there's so much information you could provide for people that would be helpful.
Yeah. I think that those are all great topics, and that we will go more and more into that, because I think teens need to know. And I think just the more that we talk about it, the more hints that we give, the more ways to say that, is this somebody who does abuse, and what does it look like, and what to do if you are the one being abused, what to do if you are the one who is abusing. We'll put that up as some of the topics that we will cover in the next few weeks here. So let's kind of change gears here. Sandy, I was actually going to get back to you and ask about that journal. Have you been writing?
What journal?
The gratitude
I knew
journal.
you were going to ask me that.
Yes,
the gratitude journal. I committed I was going to do that for 30 days.
You were going to check back with us.
I started off pretty good.
Yeah.
And kind of petered out and didn't get to continue to do that. It just really hard to find the time. But once I realized why I was not committing the time to that process, I recommitted myself, and I was able to continue. So I haven't completed all 30 days in a row, but I am back at it. And how about an update when I finish it in 30 days?
Do you find that on the days that you actually do write it, is there anything else that changes for you? Do you have to think about it? And does that help you to focus on a positive aspect as opposed to the negative?
Absolutely. It really does, because, going through some difficult seasons in my life, being able to find something that I can stay focused on that's still out there and is good and is positive in my life is very helpful. It's very helpful to redirect my thinking.
Okay. What I will say is that I thought, since I was making you do this, that I would try it too. And I didn't do it the first week. I have to say that too. It kind of takes a little bit to get into this. But what I have to say is that it actually did really start to change how I was thinking about things too. And it does really help to kind of keep you focused on what is more positive in your life, because there's plenty to focus on that's not. It just is kind of shifting the way I see my whole day. So what I would say to you is maybe keep at this and give us an update later on.
You got it.
Okay.
I will do.
All right, we are going to take a short break here, but we are going to be right back to take your phone calls. So once more, you can reach me at 564-1290 or toll free at 866-564-1290. I'm Kimberly Taylor, and you're listening to KZSB AM 1290.
You are listening to Dr. Kimberly Taylor. You can reach her by calling 564-1290 or toll free at 866-564-1290.
The strength of any relationship, or whether it's a partnership or a friendship, is really determined by each person's ability to share, to be as honest as you can be with your feelings, because we need to be willing to let each person to have the space that they need to grow and to be able to support them and love them in this process. We are going to go to the phones right now, but I do want to let you know that if you're not able to call in today, that there is a chance that you can reach me this coming Sunday, when I will also be taking your phone calls. You can check out my website for all of the contact info on that, and that's at drkimtaylorshow.com. And also, I do want to remind you that this program is rebroadcast Thursday evenings at 10 p.m. and Sundays at noon. But right now, you can reach me by calling 564-1290 or toll free at 866-564-1290. So get on the phone now. We have the lines open. Right now, we're going to go, and Beth is on the phone. This is Dr. Kim Taylor, and we're on the phone now with Beth. Hi, Beth.
Hello, Dr. Taylor. I've been listening to your program this afternoon, and I'm suddenly wondering if this is it for us, if this is what's happening in our family. Our daughter is 17, and she's dating a young man who's 2 years older than she is, and her whole personality seems to have changed. And I've not been able to talk to her straight out about it. She avoids any conversation at all. But last weekend we had a big family party, and all the people that were invited were from our old neighborhood, so there were young people her age and their parents. And I was quite aware of his reaction to all of this. He of course, was invited to, this boyfriend. Our daughter was not able to talk to people without him coming over and standing really, really close to her and either taking hold of her hand or putting his arm around her shoulders, until she got very uncomfortable and would move to another group, and he followed so closely that it was as though she had no space at all. And it was very noticeable to me and to the rest of our family what was happening. So I'd like you to help me a little.
Have there been changes in other parts of her life, or how she dresses? Or how
yes, she was very cheerful, usually quite cheerful, and very talkative, communicative with everyone. And that's no longer the way. She's quite withdrawn now. The other thing I've noticed a lot is the way that she looks. She used to be very conscious of her clothes and her hair and her makeup and all that, and now she's just in jeans and a T-shirt most of the time, and looking rather scraggly.
Okay. And does she talk to you about this boyfriend and their relationship?
No, she doesn't. She's not communicative at all, and she always has been in the past with other boyfriends.
Okay, so you are seeing a change in her since she's been dating this young man.
Yes, very much so.
Okay.
So has everyone in our family.
Okay, and has anyone in the family been able to talk to her?
Her brothers have both tried, but they're very blunt, and she just doesn't respond to that at all. I have tried and have not been able to get very far either. She just doesn't want to talk about him.
Okay, but if she doesn't want to talk about him, that is one of the signs that she's not very open. She is hiding things. She does probably feel bad about things, but she somehow is very connected and bonded to him. One of the things that does happen is in any kind of abusive relationship, the one who is being controlled or feels like they need to adhere to the demands and the wishes of their partner really starts to lose their self-esteem. And the more they do that, they cling more to this person, because when they start to feel bad about themselves, then they are also going to not feel like other people are going to be there for them. She may even be losing some of her friends because she's spending so much time with him. So it is important to try to intervene with her, to talk to her about what is the difference between a healthy versus an unhealthy relationship. Have you been able to talk to her in the past about these kinds of issues?
No, not that specifically, because it was just not in my awareness, really.
Okay. And is there anyone in your family or some kind of adult that she has been close to that might approach her about this?
I don't think so, no.
Okay. Then as her
brothers, I would think, might be the best.
Okay. And what about her dad?
He would try.
Okay.
He's very willing to try.
Okay.
We've all been in such a quandary, we haven't quite known where we were or what to do.
It is important that you have the father involved, that the father can definitely teach her and let her know what is appropriate and how a guy should be treating her. And that's going to be a very important voice for her to hear, to know that her father would back her up on this, that her father is there for her, and that her father is letting her know that this is not the way that she should be treated by a guy in her life. It might be good to just read a bit about teen dating violence, because one of the things that you need to understand is that they have enormous pressure to conform to their peers, and they are very inexperienced in any kind of dating. So they're not going to be able to interpret what's going on with them as abusive. They're going to see it more as jealousy, possessiveness, which means that it's a sign of love to them. So to really be able to read a bit about this for yourself when you go to talk to her, it is going to help you to see that what you don't want to do is pit her against her boyfriend right now, but you want to have a place that she feels that she's still safe to come and talk to you, that you are educating her about what is healthy, and then telling her that you're seeing some of these signs, that you are concerned, that there is a place for help. If she isn't coming to you, would she go to talk to a therapist just to talk about what's going on in her own life?
I've never approached that with her. Mm-hmm. I don't know how she'll react to it, but it is certainly worth trying.
Mm-hmm. Well, you want to be the person that she does feel like when she can come for help, that she will come to you, that you're not going to shame her about this, that you're just going to believe her, you're going to talk to her, you're going to listen. And that's really the first step in this. But I would really be more attentive about what is going on, to look for any other kinds of signs. Again, to give her information about teens and dating and what's healthy and what's not. Because for the most part, most teenagers really don't know. And they tend to have a great deal of difficulty just managing just the complexity of the feelings and decisions and conflicts that are coming up in their relationships. So she could have gotten locked into this really quickly, and she doesn't know how to get out.
Mm-hmm. That concerns me too, yes.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'll do that. I'm going to go and get some books and see what I can find out first, and then I will approach her with that information. I like the idea of healthy relationships and helping her to see what is and what is not healthy.
Yes, and that she is supposed to be happy, and that the signs of a healthy relationship definitely include that each person's needs are being met, that there is a lot of respect, that no one is hurting each other, that no one is being forced to do something that they do not want to do.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Taylor. I'm going to put the whole family onto this.
Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass you back to Sandy, and Sandy's also going to give you some contact phone numbers for you also to have some more help, and if your daughter also would like to call one of those hotline numbers.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your help today.
All right. Thank you for your call.
Goodbye.
I'm Kimberly Taylor, and you're listening to KZSB AM 1290. Hi, we're on the phone with Christy. Welcome to the program.
Thank you. I wanted to talk to you about my daughter and son-in-law. They are living with us currently, my husband and myself, because my daughter is in graduate school, and she and her husband have moved to the city where we live for her 2 years, her first part of her grad school program. So we invited them to live with us, and they are young marrieds in their 20s, have been living on their own, both working full-time prior to moving to California, and now living with us, and our daughter's a full-time student, and our son-in-law is working.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess the thing that we're trying to figure out is appropriate, how they can help, how they can contribute to household things, because we're struggling a little bit with expectations.
Mm-hmm.
And, we've all kind of talked about it and said, yeah, let's all pitch in, and kind of this general sense. Like, I think everyone wants this to work really well, and we all really like each other, but living together is for adults. It's just different than what we've ever experienced. So the two things that I'm just struggling with in terms of how to handle, one is that they don't just kind of see what has to happen or what should happen and take care of it. So you're in the kitchen, the trash is full, pick up the trash, take it outside. But part of me feels like I shouldn't really have an expectation around that, because it is my home, and I kind of notice and see those kinds of things. So that's one area. And again, like I said, I'm not even sure I can have an expectation around that. And then the second thing is what we should be doing in terms of maybe more set responsibilities.
Mm-hmm.
Like for example, like could they, and they could obviously, cook dinner for all of us one night a week. The reason I haven't done that yet is I'm afraid if they don't do it, I don't know then how to handle that. So let's say we all agree that they're going to cook dinner on Thursday nights, but then they don't cook dinner. Now I'm going to be frustrated, feeling taken advantage of, I think,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So I've been hesitant to have any firm guidelines or firm expectation, because I don't want to be mad at them if they don't meet it. Does that make sense?
Yes, but I think that what you need to think about is that you want to treat them as adults, and they are in your home.
Right.
And you are doing them a favor by letting them live with you, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And so this is going to be very different than your daughter coming home. She's coming home with her husband, and I think you made a good point, is that they have been on their own prior to this, right?
Right.
Okay. So it would make sense that you have boundaries, that they're clear, that the expectations are clear, because the way that feelings get hurt the most is when it is unclear and you just assume that they should know, like, for instance, the trash.
Right.
Okay. So what are you afraid of if you were to actually state what you need?
Well, I think this is it. If they then said, okay, I'm assuming we would all agree. We could come up with something we all felt good about. But then they don't fulfill whatever our agreement is. Now I think I'm going to be frustrated and feel taken advantage of. You said you would do this.
Okay,
and you
but
did not.
But
and, they're not like, she's not like 10, or my son.
Right.
They're adults. You don't normally set boundaries for other adults.
Okay, but wait. Just slow down for a minute. So what would you do if they didn't do it?
I think I would say I'm frustrated and taken advantage of because you agreed to this and now you did it.
Okay. And is that the problem that you're having trouble with, of having to be what you perceive perhaps as the bad guy?
Yeah, it feels like heavy-handed, like parental, when they are grown-ups. And I don't know, it just feels awkward somehow.
Okay, but this is not necessarily equal, because they are in your home.
Right.
That they should be willing to ask you and your husband, what can we do to help? What would feel like we were carrying our share? For instance, do they pay rent?
Yes, they do cover the cost of groceries, because my son-in-law is working full-time. So financially, I think we're all comfortable with the financial arrangement.
Okay, so
it's
that...
more, Oh, I'm sorry. I
Well,
didn't mean to interrupt.
no, so it is good to kind of split this up, that finances, you feel like that's going to be adequate, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And then since you all live in the same house, then the expectations about who cleans, who cooks, who shops, those are all separate and they should all be talked about. Maybe, for instance, your daughter and son-in-law would like to just cook their own meals. Maybe they don't want to eat with you each evening. Maybe it's just that you pick one or two of the evenings that you all have a meal. Or if it is that you want to have that time to meet, then it's split up about who cooks and who shops for that.
Right. Yeah, and I think, we've been doing this for a little while already, and I think the meals, if we're all happen to be home, we all eat together, and that means that I am cooking, right? I just cook enough for all of us. But we didn't really discuss that, honestly, and say, are you guys going to eat with us every night when you're home? I have been hesitant to treat them like I do my college-age son, for example. When he's home from college, I'm happy to throw in a load of laundry. We have his friends over for dinner, that kind of thing. But I don't do any of that with these two because I feel like they are adults. But on the other hand, if they're home, I'm happy to have them join us. Mm-hmm. If I'm cooking for my husband and myself, I'm happy to have them join us, and we enjoy that. But I don't feel obligated, to think, oh, what are they going to eat if we're not home? Or
what you are trying to do is to do this so that you don't feel like this is a burden on you, and that you are doing things and that they are either do not have any value for that, or that you're feeling like you are overworking trying to take care of them. So I think the best that you can do here is to really speak up and say, this is what I'm needing. This would make me comfortable. And then you can open it up for all of the people and to just keep talking about this, but have some clear boundaries, and to, pick nights of the week that each person cooks and they're responsible for. Have some flexibility about that, because sometimes things are going to come up. But if you are on the sideline keeping a tally sheet, this isn't going to work.
Right, and that's what I'm most concerned about, is at the end of the day, we all still love each other, enjoy each other's company, and our relationship is better for the time we have spent together and not, harmed in any way. But I have been concerned about asking for too much, because then if they don't meet an expectation, then I feel like my disappointment will be heavy on them,
Okay. Do you feel like you are too picky or too controlling or ask for too much?
And in this situation with them, no, I don't feel like I have.
Do you have a tendency to do that? Is that what you're known for?
No, I don't think so, honestly. I think I'm fairly gracious, and it's different for me, of course, with them living here, right? Mm-hmm. It is because it's my house. I do. So in that sense, yes, I probably have higher standards. I for sure would have higher standards than they would in terms of what I think something should look like, or what cleaning up after dinner looks like. So yes, I probably am in that regard, probably pickier.
Okay, so since you know that about yourself, it would be up to you to make yourself really clear about what it is that you need. But when you're living with people, you are going to have to consider that they're going to clean up the kitchen in a different way than you do. And if it bothers you, then it's your job to go over and tidy up this or tidy up that, so that you don't ruin the relationship because of those items.
Yeah, and I think that's the learning for me, is that there is an acceptable level, and if we can all talk about and agree on that, and then those things that are because it is my house. And
then just know that this is going to last for 2 years, and then you can put your house back together exactly as you want it.
That's true. Yeah, appreciate that.
Okay, but
I try, haven't I? We always try to talk about, what are the good things? I mean, they are so willing to help when we ask for help, right? So I need to
ask for help.
Try to remember that
and
ask for help when
exactly.
I need it.
Exactly. Okay.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Okay, and thanks for your call.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I'm Kimberly Taylor, and you're listening to KZSB AM 1290.
You are listening to Dr. Kimberly Taylor. You can reach her by calling 564-1290 or toll free at 866-564-1290.
Let's go back to the phones now, and we're talking to Carol. Hi, Carol. Carol?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi.
Hi.
What's on your mind today?
What's on my mind? I gave up a baby for adoption over 40 years ago. I am now married and have a family. My husband knows. I told him before we got married, but I have not told my children. Family member feels that I should tell them.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know if I should. I just don't know what the repercussions or how they would feel about me.
Okay, and how old are your children?
In their 30s.
In their 30s?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and they do not know, but one of your other family members thinks that they need to know. Why?
She just feels that if they ever found out, I would never forgive myself. She feels that I have a good enough relationship with my children that they should know. They would feel they would. I don't know. I mean, I think about it myself. I mean, it's been 40 years, obviously. I'm just wondering whether they should know. Should I feel obligated to tell them? Is it something that I should share with them? Am I hiding something from them that they have a right to know? These are all thoughts going through my head.
Okay. First off, they don't have a right to know, and no one else has a right to tell you what you should do about this.
Okay.
That this is information that is about you, of course, but you get to choose who you would tell this to, and then you would need to ask yourself that question about what would be the purpose.
Mm-hmm. I don't feel I went through this pregnancy by myself. I didn't tell anybody. My mother only found out because I told her in the last month. I mean, I wasn't showing. I worked until almost the end. It was a very lonely time for me, even though I lived at home until like 2 months before I took a trip. Anyways, then I just couldn't handle it anymore. I came back. And so to tell my children and to I don't think and whether this is selfish on my part, if this child that I gave up came looking for me, I would by all means see my child anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But to have to go through everything that I went through, to me, is just painful.
Okay, so it would not be that you would be telling them something because you wanted to warn them, or you felt that they needed to know this because of something that was going on in their life.
Because it would be a half sibling, maybe I guess thoughts that they don't know everything about me, but do they need to know everything about me?
Okay.
I mean, I have a very good relationship with them.
Okay, so if you were to sit down after all of this time and tell them that, you did want them to know about this just in case something happened, and or if they wanted to go and try to find this child, it seems that the most appropriate thing to do is, if that child wants to come to find you, that would be the time to sit down with your family and to talk about this. But for right now, you gave this child up so that this child could have a life and a family. And it really needs to be left up to that child to really decide this.
Okay. So you feel that I have made the right decision?
Yes, because there's nothing that they could do with it right now, because it would not be up to them to go and find him or her.
Right.
And it's not as if you were trying to hide something. It was just information right now that needs to wait until this child, if and when they choose to do this, would try to make contact.
Right. Okay, it's just something that I've been struggling with for many, many years, just not knowing whether I was doing the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah. Thank you very much.
All right, and thank you for your call.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, we're on the line now with Kathy. Hi, Kathy.
Hi.
How can I help you?
I'm calling regarding a friend of mine that got a hold of me, and she wants to send her son to Los Angeles. She's from Canada. And she shared with me that he's depressed, and he's on medication. He's on Adderall. He's 20 years old. And they want a change of atmosphere for him, so they're going to send him to L.A., and so he can find a job or figure things out or kind of give him a change of pace. And so initially I was like, oh, my God, that'll be great. Sure, send him down and, we'll try to, pick him up from the airport, whatever. But then in my head I'm thinking, is this the right thing for them to do? I don't think they have good direction with the therapist that he's seeing in Canada.
Okay. Are they wanting you to take care of him while he's here?
No, they're just, informing me that he's coming and, maybe we would, of course, invite him or go to see him or whatever. But
Okay.
I didn't know if I should tell her, I'm kind of concerned about him coming out here all alone when he's on antidepressants and Adderall and all by himself.
Okay. And have you shared that with your friend, that you are wondering whether this is a good time, or have you asked her how she's feeling about him being able to cope in a new place and create a change?
No, I didn't. I just didn't know what to say. I kind of backtracked myself, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to call this hotline and see if I could get some advice of how I should even approach it, because they think it's the greatest thing for him, and they're excited about his move, and they think he's going to be fine. And all I can vision is him being alone in this house by himself, has no friends. He has to build all that.
Oh, okay. So what it also sounds like is that maybe you are taking on too much, that you think that if you feel bad about him, that you're going to have to be the one to take care of him if he should falter.
No, not so much. I just feel like they called me to tell me, they shared this very personal information.
Okay, but they just want you to be like a touchstone, because when you send your kids off to a city, it's nice to have somebody that is a contact person. Maybe you're just that contact person, so they wanted to share what's going on. But if there are some real fears about this that you have about being put in that spot, then yes, do share them with your friends. But I would stay out of whether they're making a good judgment or not. That's really up to them and their son.
So I should share my insight or my opinion that if they think that he'll be okay here by himself.
Well, you can just share that you have some concern, that you are happy to be his contact person, but you can share with your friend your concerns. But it is up to them to really determine whether they want to send him and whether they think that he is ready.
From a professional standpoint, what would be your opinion?
I think I just told you that it is up to them. They're the parents.
I see.
That if you feel uncomfortable being that contact person and being the person that he might rely on, then you need to let them know they need to find someone else. Okay?
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks very much for your call. I'm Kimberly Taylor, and you're listening to KZSB AM 1290. Okay, we're coming to the close of our program. I just want to say, don't stay stuck in any relationship that is not helping you to grow. Go and get help if that's what you need to shake it up. But a good relationship is a living thing, and it needs to have the same attention. It needs to be nurtured, and you have to support it. So thank you for being with me. If you would like to send in an email you can do so at Dr. Kim at drkimtaylorshow.com. You can also go to my website and get a lot of info on how to download the podcast on iTunes, or you can hear the past shows. And once more, if you could not call in and we couldn't take your call, I am going to be taking calls again this Sunday, so you can go to my website and get all of the times and the date for that at drkimtaylorshow.com. So I want to thank Richard here and Sandy for really helping me to get all of this on the air. And I will be here every Thursday, so you try and be here too. It's between 2 and 3. Meanwhile, have a great week, and until then, be good to yourself. And remember, nobody else has to change in order for you to get better.